Yeah. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Finance United podcast. My name is Lenny Bradley, and today we have an episode with my man Ilya Kosalov, an ex on the job cop that went from being a cop to going and flipping houses and being able to retire from the job within a short amount of time. Ilya, thank you for coming on, man.
Hey, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be on here, man. Looking forward.
Yeah, I mean, this has been pending for a while. Once I found you on social media, I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like, I've seen other people and heard of other people on like biggerpockets.com, which is a site for people that are interested in investing in real estate. And I've heard their podcasts where ex-cops have come on and they talked about, oh yeah, I bought, like 5 units, 6 units, and that allowed me to retire from my career. But to know somebody and get in contact with somebody that's been on this job in particular, and to be able to tap into you directly, this job. It's not like you're from another agency. It's not like people won't be able to relate to you because you're from some small police department in the Midwest. Nothing wrong with that. But the majority of the people that listen to this podcast are on our job. So to hear what you have to say, what made you leave, how you adapted to the transition from the job to what you do now. We're going to cover all of that. And I'm really excited because myself, I'm interested in real estate also. And it's just going to be a great conversation. So once again, thanks for coming on. How's your day going so far?
It's going great. It's going great. It's still early, but we're just hustling. We're busy and we're back in the grind, just being back in the office. I got to go back to full work mode. I just got back from the Dominican Republic. I think I was telling you.
So you were in DR, right? You're setting up some type of operation where you can operate in DR and still invest here in the States?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Just, the tax code says if you live in any other country, as long as you're paying taxes in this country, you're good to go. So I'm actually, I moved out of the city and to Lancaster, and now I'm like, I like Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's nice, but I like the warm weather better. So that's why we're setting an operation over there in the Dominican Republic, and just it's a big transition.
Isn't it great to have that freedom? Like you took matters into your own hand, and now your own hands, and now you're able to do your business in a whole nother country whenever you want.
It is the best feeling, I would say, just because coming off the job, you got to take orders. You have to be on time. You get jammed up if you mess up. So now where it's like, okay, cool. Like I was away on vacation for 2 months, right? Taking care of business as well, but not working, in the office. I just worked off my laptop, made a few phone calls, talked to a few people, and then the business was still running itself.
That's insane.
So it's incredible. Yeah. I'm grateful.
That's great. So before diving into all of that stuff, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Talk a little bit about your beginnings.
Okay.
Like where you're from, how you got on the job, like where you grew up.
I'll start at the very beginning.
Yep.
So I was born in 1989 in Russia, right after like the Communist Party collapsed. So when I grew up in Russia, I lived there till 1999. So I was 10 years old. But during that time, we lived in poverty. We lived in the projects on the 8th floor, right? No elevator, drunk people and heroin addicts all over the place. You're stepping over them. There was no light bulbs in the hallways because people would steal them to sell them for drugs or alcohol. It was like bad, right? Yeah, eating not even ramen noodles. You would just eat like the chicken cubes, and if you had some bread, you would dip it. That was like your dinner. So I grew up poor in Russia, and it wasn't fun. But I feel like it has a lot to do with me now, right? Just being really humble because I've been with nothing, right? Just a shirt on my back. When we moved here, luckily my uncle, he's a smart dude. He finished college. He got a great job here, and he had the opportunity to get us in here, and eventually became citizens in the 1999. And moved to the Woodlawn section of the Bronx.
So what's that at 10 years old? You moved from?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. 9 basically turning 10 like 2 months later or something like that. So Woodlawn is like it's like a secluded little part of the Bronx, and it borders Yonkers. So the 4-7 covers it, but it's like if you see cops from 4-7 in Woodlawns because they're getting food and they're going back because they're going back to the other side of the Bronx where it's really heavy.
Yeah.
But growing up there was great, man. I mean, I was the only Russian kid there. Most of the people there were kind of Irish, Italian. We had a few Spanish, Black. It was just kind of diverse, right? So it was cool. And for me, it was like, I don't speak any English, so I'm always staying neutral. And became just very social as usual. And eventually went to the high school in Yonkers. And after high school, I was like, man, I don't know what I want to do with myself, right? So I liked cooking, so I was like, I'm gonna go into culinary arts. I got accepted to Johnson's in Wales Culinary Arts Institute, and I last minute I backed out. I was like, man, these guys are making such low, so low. I'm like, it's gonna take me forever to pay the bills all. So my mom was a nurse. She's like, hey, go into nursing. I did some nursing studies, and I was like, man, I hate this. And then eventually, one of my actually my ex, her cousins were cops, and like, dude, just become a cop. It's such a good job. You're gonna enjoy it. It's there's a lot of things that go down. It's something you might enjoy. So I said, screw it. I took the test at 18, and I got hired at 21. So yeah, I missed the deadline. Well, I think they do like 20 3/4 or something like that.
Okay.
Because by the time you're 21, you'll be in the shooting range, and the 3 months will be up, and so you could be hired and have a firearm.
Yeah.
And I missed it. So it would have been impact class 16 instead of 17. So
Gotcha.
2011, that's when I got on to the job.
All
And
Nice. All right.
yeah,
You got on when you were 21. That's pretty young, man.
yeah, it
That's
was
very, very, very young. Very young. Now, when you got onto the job, where did you work?
So I got sent to the 5-2 precinct. That was my beginning. That was my impact place that I worked at. And man, what I personally, I enjoyed impact. I thought it was good for, if you were hungry for action, you wanted to learn a lot, see a lot, experience a lot.
Yeah.
It was, you were on foot, you were there, you putting hands on people, and you're getting bad guys off the street. And when I got on the job, I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing in the world, right? I loved it. I was like, oh, anybody who quits this job is crazy. And I was just loved it. And actually, I didn't want to take my vacation because you still had some vacation days. I was like, I'm not taking my vacation. I wasn't taking my vacation because I was like, I don't want to miss out a day of all this stuff that's happening.
At that moment, what was it that you loved so much about the job?
Very good question. I love the camaraderie.
Okay.
Everybody was working together.
Yeah.
And at the time I was like, okay, cool. We're making a difference. We're taking care of bad guys and putting them in jail. And that's what I loved it. Right. And it was good. It was good. We're at the bottom of the barrel. I feel like when you're at the very, very bottom, you kind of stick together and go up. And people talk about it. It's like boot camp, right? When you're at the bottom, it's the same exact way.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. I did impact also. I came out in December 06, did impact from January 07 into July 07. And that's when you get to know each other. You're out there, you're hitting the pavement, you're out on foot. You got to figure out how to stay warm. You got to figure out how to stay cool. You have to figure out how to stick with each other so you don't get hurt and figure things out. So you're out there and you have to figure things out amongst each other. You can't keep calling the supervisor and stuff like that. So yeah, it definitely brings that bond together. And that's one of the things that I love about the job most as well, is the fact that you're around a bunch of people that are doing the same thing as you. So many different personalities, so many different cultures, so many different styles of doing police work. And it's a great thing. I really, really do miss the element that impact brought. And I feel like if they did bring that back, what it could do for this department and what it could do for a lot of these new guys coming on it will be amazing. So
yeah, exactly.
Whenever somebody talks about impact, it always brings me back and I have to address it a little bit. So, all right, from there you did impact. And obviously at one point you said, you know what? I might have to expand my horizons. What point was that?
I would say when I got to like year 3, 4, it's like, man, what the? It's taken forever, right? And I'm not at top pay yet. I'm struggling here financially. Is like, I would want to have more money. I wanted to have more things in my life, and I just said, and I'm gonna keep living like paycheck to paycheck, and that's what it was. I wanted to, and I wasn't a big fan of overtime too. Like I would do it all the time, but then like, man, I just did all this overtime, and then like I got extra $200. I was like, that's not worth it. So I was kind of eventually I just accepted it. But until I guess like few things happened on the job where I made few arrests, and I was like, well, we put people away, and in 2-3 days out, they're out. And after a while, you're just like, man, this is crazy, right? I got into an incident where I almost got into a shooting for a burglary, and I had to struggle with this female perp for her gun. I ripped the gun out of her hands. It was pointed at my leg, and we were fighting for the gun, and eventually collared her, and she got out like in 2 days on ROR. And I was like, what? And she wasn't like a first time offender. She just got out of jail for manslaughter. She did like 7 years for manslaughter as a teenager. She killed a girl at 16, and she got out like, 7 years later. And I was like, man, I said, the justice system is dead. I was like, I'm not doing this, because if I would have shot her, I would have been, in some serious trouble.
You would have been
buried somewhere else, right? I would have had to commute 2 hours somewhere, in a building, and someone working in the basement until they.
The gun was fully loaded.
Yeah. Yep. It was crazy, dude. It was insane.
Yeah. I definitely feel your pain. I think a lot of people that are going to be listening and watching this, they do feel your pain, especially with what it is that's going on right now.
Yeah, I God, may the good Lord bless you guys and look out for you, because what is going now is crazy. It's crazy. It's disgusting in my eyes. But cops aren't appreciated, in general. And now just imagine now, it's just a war out there, and people are just doing whatever they want, unfortunately.
Right. And that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you on, is because I wanted people to know that there's other options. There's other things that you could do. I'm not trying to degrade the job. I'm not trying to steer people away from it. But there are a lot of people that are unhappy. And sometimes people need to be introduced to new things in order to say, you know what, this isn't the end all be all. So, and that's why I'm really glad to have you on. Now, you went through that circumstance. The woman was out in 2 days. You went back home, and you said what to yourself?
Actually, after doing like 3 days of overtime on my days off, I had a 3-day swing. I had to go for court all 3 times, and then when she got out, I was like, this is crazy. And I was like, man, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not working. I'm not putting myself at risk anymore. That's what I said. I was like, why? I said, they don't care. Why should I care at this point? I said, it's, I could have got hurt. She could have got hurt. It's not worth it. So I started saying, I said, hey, there's got to be other opportunity. I'm not doing overtime. I'm not getting into anything else, and I don't want to get into any trouble. So I started just doing like side hustles. So the first side hustle that I started, I would say it was, I don't know what year, but I started, okay, there we go. I partnered up with one of the guys. He was telling me, let's get into the taxi business, right? I knew him. We actually came from the 5-2, got transferred to the 4-4. And I said, all right, let's do a taxi business. So, me and Vinny, we got into the taxi business. We got 1 car, 2 cars. I think we got up to 3 cars. But eventually we just realized, okay, you're making money, but the people don't give a crap about your car. It's not their car. They're renting it, and they just destroy it at the end. So, we got out of that business. I started doing like different things. Got into the Jordan flipping business. So that's another thing you guys could do. It's, you can make $50 a pair, right? If it's a really good brand, you can actually make $100, $200. So we were just, so this is what happened. I got jammed up eventually, even though I was trying to stay out of trouble. I got jammed up. They took off all my overtime. So now if I wanted to work, I couldn't. And they put me into like working in crime analysis. So I was like a super active cop, and 2-3 months later down the line, I got jammed up for a bad breakup, and that was it. Next thing you know.
So when you say you got jammed up from a bad breakup, you talking about a relationship with somebody?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. I had you know what I mean. I had my ex girl, and we had a bad breakup, and you know, she did the phone call, and
Oh,
I got into a jam for I-09, right? So they're saying, hey, you know, they thought that I was like off myself because of what she said.
really?
Yeah. So they took me to what was it, Queens, right? The psych division. They interviewed me. They're like, yeah, you're perfectly fine. They talked to my mom.
I
You know
hear
what I
that.
mean?
I
Yeah.
hear that story all too often.
But they wanted to cover their behind, so they sent me to in Manhattan. There's a hospital there, and it was psych ward. And
Bellevue?
man, that was the
Was it?
lowest part of my job, probably of from like on the job, where it's
Oh,
like they strip you of your gun badge, like the cops can't even enter there, and you go into like almost the psych, you know, the psych ward. That's what it is, right, for evaluation.
is it Bellevue Hospital?
It wasn't Bellevue. It was right there in Dykeman. It's Presbyterian.
Oh, Columbia.
Presbyterian.
Got you.
Columbia, yeah. So it's like, man, you know, they're like, yeah, we just evaluate you for 72 hours. I got out. I got out like in 12 hours. But that 12 hours, man, was insane because guys were screaming, they're, you know, making noise and just going nuts. Like they're legit people who have mental issues. And I remember just calling a payphone and talking to my family. I was like, man, this is not good.
Yeah.
You know? And that was like super low in my job. And that was it, man. That
Okay.
was
All
actually
right.
really more.
So yeah, you said you got jammed up and then you wound up going up to crime analysis after you were doing
Yep.
the taxi stuff. And how did you transition over to house flipping?
Okay.
How did you get into
Well,
that realm?
at that point, I had no overtime. The side hustles, I was doing them, and I'm like, well, they're working, but they're not really working. What really motivated me was, you know, my new girlfriend, met her, fell in love instantly. She got pregnant, and I'm like, oh my God. And she, you know, and she also has 2 daughters. So now I'm like a rookie cop making, I don't know how much, 50, 60 grand. I have a family of 4 and 1 in the way. So I said, I have to hustle. So you know, I tried a few more hustle side gigs. The story's kind of long because I'm not sure if your department did that, but a few guys got into like the dream trips. It was like the multi-marketing thing where you could go on vacation for cheap, and it's a membership. So
Oh, multi-level marketing.
that's right.
Yeah,
So it was
yeah,
another cop that was doing it. He got a bunch of cops into it, and I'm like, that's cool, man. I respect
yeah,
the hustle.
yeah.
It works, but you have to just consistently do it. So it's definitely a real thing. But you know, during that, one of the trainings, they're like, hey, you got to read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna read it. So I went to YouTube, plugged it in. I think I had like some like voting detail, and I was like, I had like a headphone in there and listening to listening to during the vote detail. And I was like, man, it was like an 8-hour book, and I was just like, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, real estate? What the heck? This is real estate when you buy houses for so cheap? This is crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what real estate was. I was like, that's what real estate's are houses and stuff like that.
And what year were you in at this point when you discovered it?
Okay, when I discovered it, it was around 2016. It was 2016.
It was 2016. So you had how
Yeah,
many?
like March. So 2016, and I got on 2011. I had like 5 years.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, 5 years exactly. So I was like, this is crazy. I need to try this out. I didn't know what I was doing, so I was like, oh, okay, cool. I knew there was some auctions right there next to the 4-4. The courthouse is not too far away, so they have auctions there. I scraped the little money that I had. I was like, let me just go in there and auction. I didn't know. I was like, trying to take action, but it was dangerous because, you know,
Yeah,
if I would have won that house and a bid, I lose my deposit if I don't come up with money
that's right.
in like
That's
5
right.
days.
Yeah, yeah.
So thank God I didn't win the bid, and I backed them. And you know, my wife, she was like, what the hell did you do? Where's all the money? And I told her, she's like, you're crazy. What are you doing? So I just started doing a lot of self-education, YouTubing a lot of things. My commute was 30 minutes to work and 30 minutes back. I'm like, that's 1 hour. I'm not gonna listen to music. I want to
That's
educate
right.
myself.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. Yep.
That's why I tell the cops is that you have to educate yourself.
Have
And you have
to.
to put yourself into like a higher level of thinking and just learn new things and be open-minded. And
Right.
that's what I was doing. That was my commute. So 2016, I got into it and just kept hustling and working until I
Okay.
got my first job.
Listen, Rich Dad Poor Dad, I feel it opens up so many doors as far as your entrepreneurial vision is concerned. I tell so many people, just read that book. If you want to figure out how to come up with side hustles, if you want to figure out how to possibly free yourself from this one avenue of creating income by having a job, please read that book, because it's not a book that tells you exactly what you should do step by step, but it's a book that kind of gives you ideas and expands your mindset so that now you could be in the realm where you can go out and you could dig a little deeper, just like you did. So you read that book, and from you reading that book, you then went to YouTube. And not only that, a lot of people, they get stuck in the learning process, but you actually try to put it into action by going to the auctions.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have lost out big time, but the thing is, you coupled that learning along with action.
Exactly. And what that book I love about it, it teaches you the difference between like assets and liabilities.
Yeah.
Assets is something that puts money in your pocket. Liability is what takes money out of your pocket. Breaks it down so simple. And we're like, geez, look, he's right. Like if I get a new iPhone, that's a liability, right? If I get a new car, that's a liability. Okay, I buy a property, that's an asset. It's giving me money. I put laundry machines, rent them out, or vending machines. That's that's an asset.
But it even talks about your personal home, how your personal home can be a liability if you're not making income from it. And a lot of people,
100% right.
A lot of people feel like, oh, I'm going to buy a home and that's an asset because it stores money. But is it really an asset if it's taking money out of your pocket every month?
Sure.
And there's a lot of guys that are on this job, a lot of gals that are on this job that they feel, okay, well, I'm always going to get overtime, so I'm going to overextend myself. And I'm going to purchase a home. And if things get a little tight, I can depend on pay details. I can depend on overtime. But you can't always depend on those things.
Exactly.
And that's a problem.
You just don't know.
Right. And that's why a lot of people wind up getting in the jam. And then when things aren't working out for them at work, they get a little upset because that's their only avenue. They put themselves in a situation that they can't get out of because they are living beyond their means and they don't know the difference between what an asset and a liability is. And they're not willing to expand their mindset like somebody like you.
Exactly. See, for me, I'm like quick at taking action. If things make sense, I'm like, I'm going to try it. If it doesn't work out, I tried, right? That's why I jumped through multiple businesses. And even on the job, people think you're a hustler. Like the 4-4 precinct, it was like, they had like some Italian tourists that would come around. And I was with the boxing team too. Getting jammed up was probably the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
At the time I was like, man, I'm jammed up. What do I want to do? I became cool with the admin lieutenant who worked right next door. I worked directly for him. I got back into boxing, joined the boxing team, got into real estate. Everything was going good. And I was very grateful. Initially I was crushed, but then eventually like, all right, cool, whatever.
Listen,
this is going well.
That's God working, man. That's God working.
Exactly.
Some people, they take, the thing is, when you get put in a situation where you kind of have to struggle and you might feel like you're at rock bottom, like that's a test. In my personal opinion, I think that's a test. That's going to be the factor in deciding if you're going to rise or if you're just going to allow yourself to stay negative and sink. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I agree with you. That's definitely a test from a higher power, man. That's trying to see, do you really want this? How bad do you want this?
Exactly. Now, fast forward to how you got into what it is that you are currently doing. Kind of explain your process, what people might understand it as being. I know it as wholesaling, also flipping contracts, but also including flipping houses. But if you could kind of get into how you learn that element of real estate and while on the job.
Well, I remember taking off, like 3 days to go to a seminar for real estate. Eventually I learned a lot of stuff on YouTube. So let me go to the seminar. Yeah. It was, I guess it was co-sponsored. I didn't know at the time by Rich Dad Poor Dad. I said, well, his book was amazing. I could imagine this event. I go to an event, and they teach you a few things, but then they pitch you like a $32,000 course. They're like, yeah, we could get it with credit cards and this. And I'm like, how the hell am I going to
expand your credit limit? Call them up. Have them expand your credit limit. All you got to do is negotiate with them.
That's it. That's exactly it. So I'm sure you probably seen that.
Of course. I've been there.
Okay. Yeah. Good. And I was like, man, I left there disappointed. And like,
hold on, Ilya. Let's just kind of explain to people how that works. let's kind of explain. Like I'm gonna jump in real quick. So how that works, right? You guys might see a seminar that you're interested in, right? You might see, like, let's speak for instance on Robert Kiyosaki. His books are great, but he reels you in. He'll say, oh, we're gonna have this free seminar. We might do a seminar for, you know, $20 for a ticket, right? So you get to the seminar and he kind of goes, he reviews the book over again, maybe talks about a few other things, but it's very, very general. Once again, it's not something that you can go out and be actionable on, because you're still sitting there and your mind is exploding like, yo, I don't know where to start. I don't know where to start. And then once they get to the end of the seminar, right, they say, all right, just like Ilya said, we have this program coming up. We have this next seminar coming up. It's going to be $10,000. And if you don't have the money right now, you need to figure out, you have to figure out how you're going to make money. This is what business is about. They sell it to you. They make it seem like you're slacking on your future if you do not spend money with them. And you say, oh, I don't know where to go. I'm stuck. And then you go to the back, you start making calls on your phone to your credit card company.
That's so true, man. You know it. That's how it is.
Right.
For me, it was like the first one was for free. Then it was like $300, and then you're like, oh man. Oh, did I lose you?
Yeah, I see you now.
Oh, okay, so it was free. Then it was like $500, and then you're like, oh, I'm already invested in this much. Like I need to go to the full 3 days, and then it's like, yeah, 30 grand. You're like, man, all right, I can't afford that. Right. So I left there and I said, man, I'm gonna just keep doing my YouTube research. I know one of these guys had a mentorship, and I said, let me get into it, right? Because if you want to learn how to do it, you got to find an expert in that field.
So when you say you were doing your YouTube research, what were you doing your YouTube research on specifically? Because YouTube,
like real estate investing, real estate wholesaling, real estate flipping, just a lot of free content, free videos. And the guy I worked with initially was Phil. He's out of Florida, and he was good, man. Same thing, you had to pay to get in, and then you would do 50-50 deal splits. He's like, I'll teach you everything I know, but you're gonna get 50-50. So it was like $10,000 to sign up, threw that on the card, and then he would do 50-50 splits on any profits made. So it was a lot of education. It was like a lot of stuff. I'm like, some of the stuff I knew, some of the stuff I had no idea. So you got to understand, if you're going to start a new business and you're going to get like a mentorship or you're going to work with somebody, it's like school. Get your notebook ready and just take notes. You have to study, you have to review it. You got to understand, you're not going to learn this in a day, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're probably not going to want to do it. It's like the gym, right? Or eating right. It's something not easy to do, but I was hungry. Literally hungry. I had a big family, I had the baby, and so I needed to make something happen.
And one thing people need to understand is that you have to pay for this stuff, bro.
You investing in education, like you guys, a lot of you guys are listening right now. You went to college, right? And I was in the foot corner, like a foot patrol here on the post. It was like, hey, dude, I barely finished college. You got a master's degree, but we're both out here together. So you invested in that education that was told to you by the social norms, the society. Hey, this is good. But I'm not a big education guy, like, as far as like traditional. I'm like against it, right? I have a stepdaughter who is 18. I said, you're not going to college. Well, you're going to work for me. You're going to work in my company and do real estate. And that's what she did. So you got to invest in your education. College is no longer an education because there's so many people who have a master's and they can't get any jobs, right? We'll get in for like nursing, doctors, and cops, yes, but everything else is kind of there. So for courses and stuff like that, yes, you got to pay to play. You got to learn the skill by paying for it.
Yeah, the last interview I did with PJ, his name is Pejman Kadimi, and we kind of talked about how education, it plugs you into a system. It plugs you into a system so that you can learn how to work for the next person. You can learn how to work for these big corporations and agencies. It doesn't really teach you how to go out there and do what it is that you need to do to start things up for yourself. And
exactly.
If people can get out of that mindset of, all right, I'm willing to spend $30,000 on college for 4 years and say, I'm willing to spend $30,000 on my education to start up a business on my own for 4 years. the amount of progress that they would make would be light years ahead of everyone that was going to the college that they wanted to go to, in my personal opinion.
Exactly. And I have to agree with you 100%. That's exactly how it is, man, because with the traditional education, you're kind of limited, right? You're going to make this much money, you're going to make this much. But when it comes to your own business, the sky's the limit, right? How much work do you put, the decisions you make throughout the business can change your life.
That's right.
Fairly quickly.
That's right. So your main strategy in real estate is what?
Wholesaling. I
Wholesale.
love wholesaling real estate. And I was like, what's wholesaling?
Yeah,
But
please break that down.
Yeah, let's break it down.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. It's selling the contract. And I didn't even know what that means. Like, selling the contract, what does that mean? Means that this person wants to sell this house for $60,000. I agree to buy it. But during that due diligence period, I have the opportunity to either buy it myself or sell that contract to somebody else. And it's called an assigned the contract, right? My rights to the contract there. So you're not selling the house, you're selling the contract, the piece of paper. And somebody will pay like 70,000 for it, or 75, and you'll make $10,000-$15,000 off that assignment.
Right.
Now I was like, that's not, like, I was like, there's no way that's real. And yeah, yes, it is real. It's definitely possible, but you have to be patient. It takes a little time to get those deals. It does take time.
Right. It takes time, and it takes a lot of effort for
and money.
And money. When you see those ads, people that are listening and watching this, once again, when you see those ads on TV, learn how to make real estate with no money. There are ways to do it, but it's very, very hard.
Well, they said no money down. So you're putting no money down on the purchase, but you're actually spending a ton of money in marketing.
Right. Exactly.
They articulate it right.
Stuff like that. Now, people don't realize that. That's how they sell you. That's how they sell you on a lot of these programs. If you have anybody that is telling you, learn how to do real estate with no money down, or with, sometimes they say with no money either, because either way, you hear no money and riches, they're gonna, people are going to be magnetized to that. So never do, if they are starting off with that, do not buy into it, because it's not true. It's not true. You have to spend money on marketing. You have to spend money on education. You have to spend money tying up contracts and things of that sort. It's a lot that's involved. Now, it doesn't mean, a lot of people, when it comes down to real estate, I think they get it twisted that, all right, I got to save up $10,000 because I have to go and make sure that I have a down payment so I could be a landlord and rent out the house. There's so many different real estate strategies that you have to open up your mind to. And when you start beginning, it's going to be difficult, because you're going to go to YouTube, you're going to find so many different things. But when you keep researching, you're going to be able to figure out what it is that relates to you most. And in this case is Ilya and wholesaling. And a lot of people, a lot of these guys out there, when it comes down to wholesaling, they pitch it as, like I said, once again, it's not much money involved, but it is. And when you see these signs out there that say, we buy houses, we buy homes, we buy houses cash, can you explain what all of that is about, Ilya?
Let me see. I think let's say I have one right here.
There you go. Boom.
You guys seen this yellow?
Wait, what's that number? What's that number? I don't see the number there.
Let's go. 866.
There you go.
So I changed it from a local number to 1-800 number, because I take these when I travel to different states or whatever, and just drop them like gas stations and things like that.
That's a good strategy.
And you get calls. So we buy houses. So that's the people who are just looking to, depends on the situation. Some people will call it and they'll be a sophisticated person. Hey, I just want to know how much can I get out for my property? And other times they just want to get they just want to unload their house and sell it in 10 days. But these signs are marketing, right? When people are driving their vehicles, they're looking at these signs, man. And unfortunately, /fortunately, because I could talk about it now, these signs actually got me jammed up. So I feel like,
please explain that story.
Man, I remember I posted on Instagram, but I feel like, man, I had so much to deal with when I started my business. Like, compared to other people, I don't think anybody had so much like headaches that I experienced. So I started this business in June 6, 2016. I got some bandit signs by in August, like, in 2 months, and said, let's put up bandit signs.
Can you explain what bandit signs are?
So bandit signs are usually like these yellow signs, and you just kind of nail them to the telephone pole. Now I learned if you use a stapler gun, it's much quicker. Yeah. But I put a bunch of them out, and then I got like some big signs that were like rollout, and I said, hey, let me put them on. Let's put those things around the neighborhood. So I paid one of my cousins to put it up, and
what were you putting? What neighborhoods were you putting them in?
Where I lived around there, Woodlawn area, and then like even on Grand Concourse, I was driving and just nailing them, on the poles.
You're out there hustling.
I was hustling, and I was doing it. But unfortunately, in September, I get called, for GO, and they said, "Oh man, I'm getting GO'd. What the heck's going on?" And they were like, "Hey, one of the people who called you, he was a cop." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I know. I talked to him. He was a cop, and he told me there was a big sign in the highway, and his captain wanted to find out who did this and arrest them or give him that. He considered graffiti. It was close to the highway, so they were considering graffiti. And they said, just bring in the kid who put up the sign. I said, I'm not doing that. It's one of the kids from the neighborhood. I paid him $20 to do it. I'm not gonna do it. He's like, if I get whatever, like if my delegate was there and we were just trying to figure it out, we thought it was just a minor slap in the wrist.
They wanted you to bring in the guy that did the work for you.
Yep. Little Ken said, dude, he's 15. I'm not gonna ruin his, record or whatever. Yeah. I said, just give me the fine, right? I'll pay for it. What is it, $200, $300? Because he said, he's like, it's a violation. We could arrest for it, or we could just why is it a misdemeanor? It's got to be a misdemeanor, right? If it's a graffiti. So they said, okay, cool. So we left there. We thought everything's gonna be okay, and we get called for a second GO. And they're like, hey, bring in, all these things. And I was like, what the hell? My delegate was like, man, this is crazy. This should have been a slap on the wrist for something, so minor. They start investigating. They start doing more things. Then I have to go to trial. They sent me down to 1PP a few months after. And I ended up losing 25 paid vacation days from that sign.
Wow.
Yeah. And they were saying, hey, look, so here's the thing with my mentorship and course and everything else that I was doing, I got a certificate in September. Like, here you go, congratulations, you finished. They're saying, hey, you only applied for off-duty employment in September. Technically, you're operating as if you were already running a business by putting up signs. And I said, look, here's my training. It says that my mentor is going to cover. I'm still learning. He's the one who talks to all the leads and stuff like that, shows me how to talk to them. I'm just doing marketing for them. He's the one that's running the operation. They didn't see it that way, and hit me with 25 days.
Wow.
For vacation. Yeah. Crazy. And I was like, are you kidding me? But, it took a little while for that to happen. And by the time the business was already running, I was like, all right, you know what? It is what it is. Like, I was like, I'm not giving up.
So you kept going. Yeah. You just kept turning.
I said, I'm going to keep going. I said, I just got to make sure I put it on my phone, put the remind me like 3 weeks before my off-duty employment is due. I would just renew it right away, on time, every time. And that was it. And unfortunately, that sergeant, I actually knew that sergeant from the 5-2 precinct who GO'd me and jammed me up. And he told me, he's like, oh, real estate? Yeah, me and my wife tried it also. And, it didn't really work out. So I don't know if he was hating or I don't know, man. I was like, dude, he talked to me about boxing. Hey, I seen you in the boxing team. You're doing really well. You got all the wins. I'm like, yeah. And then just boom, turn around and just went like Terminator mode and destroyed me.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So that was in the beginning of my career. So most people like, it's really hard. Not to mention those bandit signs got me into another jam in Yonkers where I lived. I lived at Woodlawn Yonkers border. I put up some signs there. I was a knucklehead. I put my website there. They filled out a web form like, hey, come here, like, we're interested in selling. I get there. The old lady opens up. She's like, hey, yeah, my daughter's not here. She's playing tennis. Leave your business card here, and then she'll call you back. So I left the business card there. And Yonkers is, it's like a gangster city. They send me like 5 tickets in the mail. Wow. And they're like, here you go for putting up signs. Wow. I ended up having to pay $1,500. Wow. For a guy who started a business, got a family, and having not a lot of money. I was broke. And to get hit with the $1,500 and then the GO 15 with that, like back to back, I was like, man, this is crazy.
So a lot of people, I'm sure they're listening to this and they're probably scared, like, oh wow, if this happened to him, you know, it could happen to me. They'll probably be scared. But by you keep pressing, how much success have you had from then to now?
Oh my God. Like I said, I retired off the job, guys. I moved to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Traveled multiple states, countries. It doesn't compare. Like the pain that I had to experience there doesn't compare to where I'm at now, right? My whole life changed, right? I have multiple rental properties, done multiple flips, then over 100 some transactions for wholesaling. It doesn't compare, right? I just said I was in Dominican Republic for 2 months,
Right.
working for an hour a day, and then drinking coconut water in the tropics. Right? I mean, who's gonna complain? So yes, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
But you gotta go through it. You gotta be a fighter.
After how many years did you retire?
The police, the job, I was just about short of 8. So it was 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been wholesaling for what amount of time? From
2016, and I retired in 2019.
2019. Okay.
So it was 4 years.
All right. So
in 4 years, my life changed where I was like, all right, I'm out.
Wow.
16, 17, 18, 19, actually 3 years. What am I doing? 16 in June, I started it. But, 17, 18, 19, 2019, April, I retired.
All right. And what's been your biggest fee?
My biggest what?
What's been your biggest
wholesale fee?
Yeah.
My biggest wholesale fee actually was in Westchester County. So if some guys are from Westchester County, it was, hold on, I think it was $97,000.
$97,000.
$97,000 of the assignment fee. And I was like, holy, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is more than what I make in 1 year. And we're able to make that, in the year like 2017.
That's absolutely amazing, man.
Crazy. It's crazy. It was a year salary of one transaction. I mean, imagine that. That would change everybody's life.
And I think what people need to understand also is how much time, like if you were to go back and break down that deal, how many hours, like, and let's be very conservative here. How many hours would you say that you put into that deal, from the contact to going, seeing the property, negotiating, getting it under contract, it finally closing? How many hours?
From before we got on the contract, I would say 1 hour to go see the property, maybe 30 minutes on the phone call. She calls me back. We talk for 30 minutes. She says, I'm interested in accepting your offer. Let's meet up. So that's 2 hours. And then we got into contract in 3 hours. And then to close it, I would say like another 8 hours, maybe with the showings and going to closing. So like what, 10 to 12 hours, and you made, you know what I mean, 90 plus $1,000.
This mark my word, everybody, this man is not lying, because it's really not that crazy as far as the amount of time that you have to put into it for each deal. Overall, I would say that it is very time consuming to do the marketing and then eventually try to come across a deal. But once you actually get into that deal, the amount of time that you're spending is
pretty 10, 12 hours. It's qualifying different sellers to see which one fits into your category, right? Who wants to sell fast, who has repairs and they don't want to do them, has equity. That takes a long time. But when you actually get one, it just boom.
Right. And people at the same token, they need to understand that it could take the same amount of time to maybe just earn $5,000.
Exactly. Yeah, my first deal took first official deal took like seven months. And during that time, it was like, dude, 7 months, like you haven't closed a deal. You've been, spending money. You open up an LLC, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just maxing my credit card and just doing everything I can. And but when they did close it with my mentor, we made $48,000 and then split that, so it's 24 grand. But I was like 24 grand, like hitting my bank was just like incredible. Right, it's like this works, right? I told you so, like that type of mentality. Like I knew this is gonna have faith in it, and that's important, man.
If you did not have your mentor, if you did not pay for education and a mentorship, how much longer do you think it would have taken you to be successful or to get your first deal done?
Damn. I mean, it took me 7 months to do it with the mentor. I would say probably 2 years, man, honestly.
Yeah.
without it. Yeah, for me, because at the time there wasn't even that much content online, right? People are giving out more nuggets now and telling you a little more than before,
Sure.
because they're trying to stand out compared to the old gurus. They want to be the new gurus, so they're sharing some information. Before, it was just like you're on your own. Like now you could get like free contracts online. Some people like post contracts on their website, and for us it wasn't like that. So yeah, at the time it would have probably took 2 years, because I had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
That's what it was.
Okay. Now, for people that want to get started, how do they know where it is that they should start? Like, if they want to get involved with wholesaling, if they want to get involved with flipping houses, how do you pick a territory, I would say?
Well, everybody usually starts where they live. And
Yeah.
I lived in Yonkers, Bronx border. So I did transactions in the Bronx and Yonkers. But New York is probably one of the hardest states to wholesale. But as you heard, I made 97 grand in New York. And then another deal, I think like 4 months before, that was $82,000. So just like back to back. It was crazy. Yeah.
What made you relocate?
Just, it got harder. I don't know why. We got hard. Oh, we got tired of lawyers killing our deals.
Yes.
And
Right.
we lost like a $37,000 deal because it's like the wholesaling thing. The lawyers don't even know about wholesaling. Meanwhile, everybody else in every other state understands what it is and accepts it.
Right. And
there
also,
was money there. And said, screw that, man.
And also in New York, it seems like they want 10% of whatever you signed the contract for the most part, right?
That's the biggest one. And like I said, when I was broke and starting out, it's like, man, like the mentor was like, hey, put on like $500. Try to see if you can put $1. And most people like $1, but I've got deals for $1 before. And
in New York?
In New York, it just, you
Really?
have to be pretty good. Yeah, you have to just look, at the end of the day, Mr. Seller, that $1 or if it's $1,000, you're not gonna get it. It goes to the escrow company, right? For the title searchers and stuff like that. That's the way I explain to them. And they say, oh, well, okay, cool. So it doesn't matter if I put 10% down, I'm still have my due diligence period. And if there's anything wrong with the house or something doesn't work out, we can't buy the property, I'm gonna get the money back regardless.
But isn't it usually the attorneys that have an issue? It's usually, like you said,
they do. So you have
it's
to sell the seller on to become an attorney. That's what we did.
Right.
We put $500 down on the $97,000 deal. It's like $500, and then we're like, dude, we're gonna make a really good profit. Let's increase it to 1,000. And we told to sell it. Look, we have 1,000 because we have a lot of projects that we're working on right now. I don't have a lot of capital, so we're looking to sell that, and use the capital to buy yours right away. And she understood. And she said, okay, cool. And ironically enough, her cousin worked in the 4-4 precinct.
Wow.
Scott. Yeah. She's like, oh, that's my guy. It's like her second or third cousin, but it was kind of funny,
All right. Do you miss the job at all?
I do, man. I do. I have to be honest. The camaraderie, man, just, you know what I mean? Like just us, I don't know, just being around the crew, the guys, right? Making jokes and just laughing. And I don't know. Cops are great people to be around when everyone's in a good mood and happy, man. They making jokes about, just trying to keep yourself up, because we do see a lot of dark things, and we just try to find the humor in most things. And I love it. I love the outings. I love the barbecues and going out with the guys. That was fun. Of course, the 85s, the 13s. I was a really active cop, and I was an adrenaline junkie. So I missed that a lot.
All right. At what point were you able to say, all right, I'm good. Like, I don't need this anymore. I don't need the job? Because I think that so many people get stuck in 20-year pension, we got 15 years on, right?
Yeah.
No health insurance. And you got 4 kids?
Yeah.
4 kids, right?
Yeah, 4 kids now. Yeah. Yeah.
You're married. So at what point were you like, you know what, I'm good. Like, I don't got to worry about anything. I can now quit the job and do this full time.
Okay. I was at a real estate event, and the guys already knew me because I've been to their events already, and they're like, dude, I mean, like,
what event was it?
It was an all-in event.
Carlos Reyes.
Yeah, Carlos Reyes, and Alex Sainz.
Yeah.
And one of the guys there was like Donovan Ruffin. He's a big guy in Texas in wholesaling. And Tang, they just randomly talked to me. Like, hey, what's up, man? Like, I let him in the line. Like, yo, just go in front of me. That's cool. And he sat me down. He's like, wait a second, man, why are you still a cop? Like, you guys, it sounds like you're running a really good operation and business. I was like, I don't know. Like, what do you mean? Like, he's like, well, how much money do you guys have like lined up for the next month to close? I said, well, we have like $120,000 in like timings. He said, how much do you make a year? I was like, I think the last year I made like 116. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, quit your job and invest more time into it. I was like, yeah, I'm doing it part-time. He's like, you doing this part-time? Are you insane? so they were just like, they like peer pressure me to do it. And I called my lieutenant there and I let her know. I was like, look, I'm going to be quitting this job. Like, I'm just letting you know, you start filling the position. It was kind of crazy because I would work for the admin office. So I just called the admin lieutenant. I was like, hey,
crazy, right? What was that like? When you can
actually, dude, it was like, oh my God, I'm actually doing this. Like, what am I doing? And I'm like, call my wife, and she's like, hey, I got to talk to you about something important. I'm going to be quitting the job. She's like, hey, look, every time you go to these events, you come out all hyped up, like, relax. We'll talk about it there. And I was like, no, it's happening, right? It just doesn't make sense. These guys are right. They're pointing it out to me. It makes sense now. If I invest more time, we could grow the company even bigger and bigger and bigger. And man, my heart was pumping. I was so excited, so nervous at the same time.
Sometimes that's all it takes is putting yourself around the right people.
That's what it was. I'm like, these guys are, you know what I mean? They're crushing the game. They're making 400, 500, $1 million, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing is, for me before, we always hang out with people who we're close to. Hang out with guys who are, $800,000 a year, 1.5, 2 million. Mm-hmm. You're like, damn, I got to step it up. I have to level up. Yeah. When you're surrounding yourself with people like that, you're going to start acting different. You're going to start working harder. You're going to try to achieve it. And because it's real. You say, like, that's the thing.
And have you had to lose some of your friends because of where it is that you are now and you expand your mindset?
Of course. Yeah. Some people just didn't see the vision. They don't see what you're doing. And, they're like, hey, you're always working. I know, man. I have bigger plans. I have set goals that I have to meet. I have a family. When I'm free, I'll let you know, but I don't go out to the bars, the clubs, all that stuff. I don't do that anymore. Right. So before that's what I did. But I changed my life around. Right. I'm a businessman. I'm a father. Right. And, started following Christian faith, man. And just things just changed for me. So
listen.
Yeah.
God is everything, man. I say that all the time. All the time. Now it seems like you have a pretty official operation. I follow you on Instagram. What's your IG so that these guys
can it's The Investor Cop. I kept it.
And FHB, what's that?
Finest Home Buyers. I was a cop. I didn't know anything else. Finest. And the company we had before was Finest Livery Service. Then it was like Finest Home Buyers. And I just stuck with it, man. And simple. You know what? It helps. It actually helps to, on the marketing side, you tell people like, hey, Finest, like, hey, look, I was a New York City police officer. Right. And then I'm going to take good care of you. Right. I keep it protected and get this thing done for you. And people trust us. Right. Even though the bad that's happening, the news it's saying that, there's still people who love
it still says a lot. I say that to people a lot. I say you kind of have to. That's why I don't crap on the job, because there's so many perks that come from it. Even after you're off of it, like, okay, yeah, you got jammed up, but you're still using Finest because you did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's on your resume, and you kind of leverage that so that people feel like they have more confidence and you're more credible.
Yeah, and you know what? When you on the job, you're already talking to people. You're talking to strangers. This business is talking to strangers on the call or in person. So it kind of gave me some skills already, right? Verbal judo. We use that with crazy sellers, we call them. Aggressive. Calm them down.
Yes, it's so funny. I was just talking to my mentor yesterday, and she was like, you know what? When we come across a property that we might be interested in picking up for investment purposes, I want you to talk to the seller, because you have this like kind of smooth coolness about you. And I was like, that's what we call verbal judo. I promise you, it was just yesterday. I said, that's what we call verbal judo. When you got a 6'5" guy in front of you that's all muscle, and you want him to do what it is that you need him to do, and he's all fired up. That's it. You gotta do verbal judo.
That's it. Same and sometimes you gotta isolate and contain. Sometimes the screen you gotta mute it and just put it down, isolate and contain it. And then you get back on. Yes, sir. All right, I apologize, but we won't call you again.
And it's so great that you're saying that, because I was gonna ask you what skills from the job transfer over to what it is that you do now.
Yeah, verbal judo is one of them. Actually, because the office is kind of big, so I actually still use like radio, and I have my guys like doing
What?
radio, just because it's faster. Like, hey,
That's
you're on the
cool, man.
air? Yeah, on the air. All right, listen, yeah, what do we got with this job, right?
So you buffing out. You buffing out over there.
Buffing out. I'm just, just keeping my roots in, man. Like I said, I love the job. When I left, I wasn't jammed up. I got out of it, and I went back to the streets and went on patrol while still running this business. So I
Yeah.
wasn't always admin, but yeah, man, I'm just kept some of these things, man. I buffing out.
What was it? There you go.
There you go. Right.
There you
Still
go.
representing.
So real quick, what was your schedule like while working on the job? Because I think that's something that people need to figure out as well. Like, where did you find the time to do this? How did you go about marketing? You already talked about the bandit signs, but commonly, what tour were you doing when you?
I was doing most of the time. I was doing day tours. I was doing midnights, and then eventually I went to day tours when I got jammed up, and then they kept me on day tours. So that worked out the best.
All right, and that worked out the best in what sense? Because you were doing. How were you getting in contact with these buyers? You got ways that you could send mailers, you got cold calling, you have texting. I mean, texting is fairly new within like the past 2-3 years, I would say.
Yeah.
So what were you doing once you got off of work as a form of marketing? How were you making these appointments so that it catered to your work schedule so that you could see these properties and stuff?
So we were running a lot of like pay-per-click ads, and we had cold callers who were just pumping in leads in there. So, 15:30s, 15:35, you get out and I would just fly straight to the office, right? And get there around 4:00 and just sit down, just start calling everybody who called. I had any missed calls, if I had any people, I had tasks. So I would just start calling them, just trying to qualify. During that time, I would do maybe some more marketing. Maybe we would send out some mailers, maybe cold callers are good because they just consistently give you leads, right? Maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 leads a day build up. And leads are anybody who says, yeah, I'm interested in selling. And you just kind of build up a pipeline of leads, and you just got to pre-qualify and just keep following up. That's what we were doing. Eventually, I ended up hiring people.
You said pay-per-click was the first thing you were doing?
Yeah, pay-per-click, which is like, I need to sell my house fast. And if somebody Googles that, right, depends how much you're bidding, it's going to show up first, second, third, fourth as a paid ad. I'm not sure if you ever noticed that Google says ad.
Yeah.
That is pay-per-click. Somebody paid for those keywords. So if anybody searches those keywords, they will pop up as a result.
Are you still doing that? Because right now it's pretty expensive, right?
It is super expensive. It is super, super expensive right now to pay for that, but I'm still doing it. Just yesterday, a lady called us and she's like, I need to sell my house. Somebody was supposed to buy it and they didn't, and I need to sell. So we ended up locking up a contract in Arizona. Wow. So that's another thing is I ended up doing virtual wholesaling eventually. That's why I pulled out, is just because it's easier and it's more accepted in other markets.
Yeah.
And it's just the same thing. You call on the phone and you set up an appointment and you send somebody else to see the house or take pictures, and you get all the negotiation done over the phone. So you know right away. Yeah. You build up to that,
Awesome. How did your operation start as far as personnel from you beginning to now? Like, where are you? You started by yourself, and where are you now as far as you hiring people to help you and things along those lines?
So I started off working in my bedroom, and and it wasn't easy. It was my son's crying. He's a newborn. Eventually, we cut half my living room, put like a sheetrock there, and started working there. And ended up meeting a local investor there, and we said, hey, look, instead of competing, let's just partner up and work together. So we started working together, and we went to the all-in event. I got really hyped up after it. And those guys were just saying, you guys got to get an office. Like, if you're working in your home, it's not the same. You're still going to be a little lazier. You're not going to work as productive. Right. And that was definitely true.
It's true, right?
It's so true. We eventually got an office. Before we got my even living room office, believe it or not, I bought a van from Queens, like a white van. I said, we could just do like a mobile office, and we would just work on our laptops in the van. And the power source was coming from like an inverter. It was super, super like creative.
You're hustling for real, bro.
Dude, man. What? I still have that van.
You do?
I still have the van. And I was like, I'm probably gonna do a podcast in the van called the Man in the Van Podcast.
Oh, don't tell people that, man. That's a great idea.
It's a great idea, right? Let's
Great
cut that one out.
idea.
Add this
Yeah, I'll edit
into
it. I'll
bleep it
try.
out.
Nah, that's
Yeah,
a dope idea, bro.
yeah,
Make
man.
sure you
So
invite me when you do it too.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, why not? I'll pump out a few podcasts, before I officially leave or something like that.
What, the DR?
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Oh,
probably going back another 2 months or so. So
really? I gotta come
yeah,
see
yeah.
you while you're down there.
You definitely do. And
I'm
actually,
gonna
funny enough, I was there. I met one of my good friends. He's a sergeant in the 4-7 now in the squad, and he was in the 4-4. He's a boxer too. He's part of the boxing team, and we had lunch there. And I met another guy who was in DR just visiting. Like, social media, people see like, oh, you're down there still? I'm like, yeah, let's go. And like, yeah, I'll meet you.
What
Went out
part?
for lunch and then Cabarete, Puerto Plata,
Okay.
Puerto
Okay.
Plata. Yeah, so it's like the north side,
Right,
and
right.
it was really nice, dude.
Awesome, awesome. So
Yeah.
right now, how many people are in your organization?
So yeah, eventually got the office. I had a mentee that I made partner, and it was just us two, and transaction coordinator / administrator. Right. This was when I quit the job. We all had three. Then I said, "All right, let's hire another phone caller like myself to close people." Then he wants a 4 and 5 and then 6. So we kind of build up, trickle down. And right now in my organization, there is one disposition. There's one senior acquisition. There's 2 junior acquisitions, like 3 junior acquisitions right now that are being trained. So we have acquisitions of people who acquired the leads. They
Yeah,
call all day long,
right.
pre-qualified leads. So that's my operation. Oh, and I also have um, what's it called, an administrative assistant as well, that runs all the analysis and stuff like that to see what we're spending, what we spent, what's the best results, what's converting, what's not converting. Because when you run a business, it's so important to measure. And I didn't do that in the beginning. I'm just like, all right, it's working, just keep going. No,
Right.
but when you measure, you say, okay, well, I spent $5,000, but my return was $25,000.
KPIs, key performance.
KPIs.
Yeah.
Yeah, key performance. And they had no idea. And then it's like, then I started thinking about the job. I'm like, well, wait, the job had KPIs too, right? Hey, this many
On people. Oh, how
on
many
people.
summonses did you bring in order to get this many collars? And
Yeah, exactly, right? X amount of summonses became this meant one collar, right? So they have,
right.
CompStat is just that. They just track all the key performance indicators. And if you apply it to any business, if you can measure it, it's going to grow, right? If you could track it,
That's
it's
so
going to
true.
grow.
That's so true.
So it's definitely a good thing. And that really helped me. And it helps me realize when I always thought this source, like right now with the PPC, I might just stop PPC, right? Slow it down, because I'm like, it's very expensive, but are we converting?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. We're getting, less leads, and for more money, what else is converting? So,
What's your main source of leads right now?
well, as far as numbers is SMS. There's a lot of people come answering an SMS, but as far as a conversion, I would say it's actually SMS and PPC. So that's why I have to still finish the report and then read it over to see what we're going to do. PPC is most of the time it's motivated people, right? If you need, let's say you break your arm, well, let's not use that example. If you need a house painted, you're gonna go on your phone. Hey, you need to pay my house, right? You're not
Yeah.
gonna drive around, look for signs, or maybe if you get hit with the mail or somebody sends you a postcard, it's not gonna be you might save it. I'm like, oh yeah, I had a postcard, but if you
Yeah.
never had that, you're gonna go on the phone. If you're hungry, you're gonna go on the phone. So that's why pay-per-click and search works really well. Facebook is another one that works decent. You get a lot of leads, but it's not all quality leads, and they're super cheap.
Okay. But what you're saying is that you already have the person that has in their mind that they want to sell. Like, you're not trying to convince them. You're not cold calling them. They already say
They
actively,
came to you.
yeah, I'm calling you. Just like
Yep,
you see the bandit signs, they're calling you. So it's already a warm lead in a sense,
that's right. That's right.
because they already have their mind made up that they want to get in contact with you. Now, it might not go through, but
Yeah,
you skip in the process of having to explain, this is why I'm calling.
exactly. And the motivation is there.
Right.
Sometimes yes, I'm just doing a lot. Sometimes you're getting a bunch of once retail leads, because right now the market's hot. People are like, oh, I could get them more because I sold my neighbor's house or whatever, and they're just like, it's not how it works. But you have to educate them and try to see if they have any wiggle room.
That's right. That's right. A lot of people
Yeah,
don't realize that is that when you're doing this business, you also have to educate people. It's not just going out, getting the money, persuading them, but you gotta you have to provide a service, because
Yes.
a lot of people, when you're a professional, you're learning the market, you're learning how things work, you're learning the process, and you have to make those people that you're servicing comfortable by informing them
Exactly.
it is that they should be doing and what works for them, and not have your best interest at heart all the time. It has to work for everybody, not that you're doing it for free, but you know, you have to
Yeah.
provide that value as well.
It's got to be the win-win. And as a reminder, so for me, when I first started, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I was more focused on the money, and that's why I think it took so long. I was like, I'm gonna get no, it's you're providing a service.
Yeah.
What you're doing is giving people an easy process when it comes to selling their home, right? You're covering the closing costs. They don't have to make any repairs, no clean outs. People leave furniture behind. We provide them with moving expenses or a moving company. So we really help them out. I've paid people's mortgages for like 2-3 months while they live there. I've helped them out get into a new building by calling in and, you know, and say, he's my tenant. Like you're providing a service, and the cost of business, the cost of service obviously is where you're going to make some profit, but that's just
Right.
the end result, right? That's just a byproduct of the
Yeah.
service.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's very, very well said. You couldn't have said it
Mm-hmm.
better. Great,
Yep.
great. Well, Ilya, listen, I thank you so much for coming on, man. I think we covered a lot. I hope that I know that people will find some value in this, especially if they ever wanted to get into real estate. Um, just real quick, are there any other avenues of real estate that from you wholesaling has allowed you to transition to?
Fix and flipping, because you're getting property so low. You say, this is the thing I want to just cover before we jump off. If people with a background of, let's say, construction, because a lot of construction workers maybe become officers or they have a family member who's construction. If you can team up with somebody who knows their construction game, gets you good prices, and you find good leads, you guys can get into fix and flipping, which
Right.
takes 2, 3, 4 months to make money, but you're going to get a big chunk of money.
Right. So
That's one thing I would recommend.
yeah, yeah. I mean, just to jump on top of what it is that you're saying, instead of going and assigning that contract, maybe you can go and keep that property for yourself, fix it up and flip it, just like you're saying.
Exactly.
The way that I see wholesaling is it allows you to learn real estate as a whole. Like
Yes.
I feel like if you just go into buying and holding, you're not going to learn how to find off-market properties.
No, you're not.
The key to any business, I feel, is finding things at a discount.
That's
So
it.
and that's what wholesaling is. That's what assigning contracts is. It's finding properties at a discount to either sell the contract, to either fix and flip, or you could fix and buy and hold. And then it just leads to so many different avenues in real estate as well.
Exactly. I definitely agree. And then look, if anybody wants to get started in real estate, like I know we talked about people buy single family homes, I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. That's what I did. In my first purchase was with the FHA loan, buy a 2 or 3 family
Yeah.
and live in it. Live
Yeah.
in it for 1 year and then move out, right? And now you're making cash flow every month.
That's what I tell people all the time.
That is the key.
Buy a 2-family house. Stop worrying about people like, oh, well, I don't want anybody else living in my house. Da, da, da. Listen.
Yeah. You know what I did? The money I was making off the 3-family house, it was like in the bad part of Yonkers. It was like the hood, right? So I was like, I'm not living there with my family. My wife's like, oh, we could go. I was like, no. The money I'm making off there, I'll just pay for the location I was renting. So just the profit, it's the same thing, right? One of the units paid the extra, let's say $1,800, and I was making $1,800 and living rent free in, you know, the nicer part of town, and without have to, you know.
There you
That's
go.
it. So that's house hacking for you guys. That's what it's called. And you know, and if anybody wants to get into it, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. I am coming out with, you know, a course as well, and a mentorship. You know.
Okay, how soon is that going to be out?
I'm just trying to hammer it away right now. Actually, I'm like this close to finishing it. So I know you and I talked about it too. And
Yeah,
hey,
we
I would love
did.
to pick your brain and see what you know. And I would definitely, you know, you're gonna be the first person I'm gonna reach out to, just because.
Oh, great! I would love to.
Yeah.
I would love to, man.
Yeah.
I like soaking
I'm
up.
a little bit of a perfectionist, so I'm like, I need to make sure I have this, and I think I'm just overpacking it with information, and I need to like break it down, and that's actually what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm gonna clean it up now, and I'm gonna finish up shortly, and it'll be available.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I really want to come down and check out your operation too, bro.
Oh, sweet, man. Well, you better hurry up, because I'm shutting down this office pretty shortly, because like the transition. So we're kind of downsizing everything for now. I
Yeah.
do have a lot of virtual employees now too, which is kind of cool.
Really?
And yeah, like VAs are virtual assistants, and
Yep.
you can get somebody in South America to work for you, and who might be even more dedicated and more committed and a hard worker than a local guy, and you're paying them, half the price. So
Are you doing the workers in Costa Rica? You doing Honduras?
yeah, I actually have two guys in like Colombia, one in Dominican Republic, two in Dominican Republic. So
Really?
yeah, Mexico is great. All those countries are good. Philippines it's good, but it's 12-hour difference.
Right.
So
Right.
they're always at night, and they always have tornadoes and storms, man. That was my biggest thing. They would always have power outages.
I've heard about that. Now,
Yeah.
are these virtual assistants your cold callers? Are they scrubbing lists? Are they?
Yeah. Yep. Cold callers, and sometimes when they're good, I would say, I'm trying this out to make them like junior acquisitions where they're qualifying people more, digging for any pain or issues that these people may be facing in order to solve their problem.
Now, I want everybody to listen to this. This man is saying that he went from being on this job, he's going to go to Dominican Republic and just have a permanent life vacation.
Yeah.
He's hiring people that will not be in his office to help him run his business. Like, there's so much possible. That's mind-boggling to think that you are how old are you?
I'm 31.
31, right?
Yep.
Retired after a short amount of time.
So yeah,
in 8 years.
2 years ago, I was in the street corner with you know what I mean, with working as a cop, and I was able to build it up to that. So yes, yeah, you're right. And you're right. I'm glad that you're emphasizing this, that this is possible. This is real. I'm not some guru. I'm not some fancy guy. I'm not that good at school. I hated school. My grades weren't perfect. I just knew I had to make this business work because I really wanted it. And I said, I don't want to be on the job. I want to have freedom. And in 2017, when I got married with my wife, we went to Dominican Republic, and I was like, it'll be awesome to live here one day, And I was actually doing, my wife's she's awesome. I was doing my first virtual wholesale deal in Florida while I was in the Dominican Republic, organizing the painters, changing the carpets, and doing all that stuff. And now it's like we're building a custom home in Dominican Republic, and it's right about finished. And it's like, man, this is really coming together. Like, thank God, like the vision was here, and we're able to make it.
And Cabarete is right by the water, right?
Yeah, beach. We have dinners and lunches right on the beach, man. It's gorgeous over there.
I've been there. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Very,
So
It's very,
I live more like, I just want to unplug even more. I want to live like almost basically off the grid, right? And just more countryside. So I'm in a really country like area where I'm gonna have I'm big into like health and food, right? Organic products. So we have a huge backyard. So I have bananas, platanos, I have mangoes, I have passion fruit, I have everything that you can think of. I'm just planting there, and some stuff is already growing, and I'm big into that. So I get to work from my office there in paradise,
And I'm sure a lot of people that are watching this, you could tell like he has that cool, comfortable cop vibe. Like the way that you and I are talking, I took no notes. Like zero notes.
Yeah, me neither. Look,
zero notes. Beforehand, I didn't write anything down. And you know why? Because when you're talking to another cop, everything just flows.
Yeah.
It just flows. And I do know a little bit about the real estate business. So that allowed for the conversation to go well too. But you still have that humbleness, you still have that blue collar personality to you. It's not, I'm making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, so now I'm the man. You're still very down to earth. And I think that probably helps you a lot in your business because you relate to people that need help. That's what being a police officer is about. It's about serving people. You took serving people and learning how to do that and be humble. And now you're serving people on the street. And now you're serving people in order to help them sell their homes and to figure out how to handle stressful situations involving their properties. And I think that that's a great way to transition from being a police officer to doing what it is that you do now.
Thanks a lot, man. Thank you. Look, I hope you one day make it there too, man.
Oh, listen, man. We're gonna talk off the grid.
Okay.
We're gonna talk off the grid. If you have a couple minutes after, I wanna holler at you. But listen, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really, really appreciate all the value that you dropped. But I want to make sure everybody knows how to find you, how to find your course when it comes out. If they need any type of help, whether it's selling their house or just speaking to you about what it is that you do in real estate investing, how can they find you?
Okay, the best way is Instagram is the Investor Cop. Facebook, I don't answer my messages as often, but it's Ilya Kos, ILYAKOS. I think I'm gonna even post this copy on Anchor too. I have some podcasts there, and YouTube, the same thing, Ilya Kos.
Great.
So Ilya Kos on YouTube. I have some videos there too, covering some stuff about real estate. So if you guys want to definitely dig into that and subscribe, I would appreciate that if you found any value in this interview.
Yo, tap into this guy, guys. Tap into him. You will definitely get much value. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. This is your host, Lenny Bradley, signing off for the Finance United podcast. Everybody be safe out there and God bless.